Welcome to What Your Pastor Really Thinks. With me are three bona fide pastors and me. So you're stuck with that. I'm Rob, but with me first, Drew Tarwater of Forefront Church. How you doing, sir?
Great. Good to be with you today, Rob.
And we're with a couple of your friends, Matt Wolfe of Arise Church. Pastor Dr. Wolfe, what's the correct terminology here, sir?
Reverend Doctor, the very revered. No, just call me Matt.
Just Matt.
Just Matt. Yeah.
Just Matt. And then with us, if you're looking, is it Pastor Dr. Reverend Ryan McBride?
Yeah, just the basic, just the first name is good. Yeah,
you guys are person. What?
Yeah.
As we're talking about pastors and what they really think, so this actually is a question I have. I'm the normal person in the group. I'm the one that barely got through school. You guys went through more. So I'll start with Matt. What happened to the name pastor? Why are pastors more on first name basis? And like when I grew up going to church, I was born on Saturday, in church on Sunday, and it was Pastor Wolfe in a suit and tie. Now you guys are wearing non-collared shirts and going by first names. What happened?
We lost it. Like that is a clear sign of culture in decline across America. No, we want to connect to people. There's something really important in what we believe. Like the priesthood of all believers is actually something we believe. Like when people come up to me, Father Matt, Reverend, Dr. Wolfe, I'm like, hey, I'm just Matt. Like I'm a human being on the same level of you. Our high priest is Jesus. We go to him, like just talk to him. People try to confess their sins to me. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really bad. Like I will pray for you because we're supposed to confess our sins to each other, but you don't need to come to me. I'm not like this higher level above you. And I think it's helpful because, man, haven't we seen so many pastors all over the place fall left and right for doing stupid stuff, can't keep their pants on. And, it's like they're human being like the rest of us. They should be living to a higher moral standard, but on the same level, like we're not a higher human being than anybody else.
Pastor Ryan or Mr. Ryan, you got the outdoorsy. If you're watching on video, the beard look, you'd never be able to play for the Yankees with that look. So, like why? Is that part of the pastor thing now too? You see that more and more with these beards and the scruff look. Like, is that help me out? Like, is that just a personal thing, or is that part of like the pastoral thing now?
It's funny.
Is that like a sign of wisdom? The bigger the beard, is that like what it is?
Yeah, there are beard length categories. The goal is prophet. I'm probably at wizard length right now, but prophet length is the goal, definitely. So, it's funny. Of the three of us, I'm actually the rural guy, so I'm up in the mountains, a little bit more smaller community. But now the beard is just that's just me. That's just me, and it's funny actually. I was when I was at my church planting. What they do the church planters deal
assessment.
The assessment. Thanks, man. We had a guy ask who was a young planter. He's like, "So did you like get the tattoos and the piercings and like grow out the beard to be like relevant to the people in your town?" And I'm like, "Bro, no, that's just no, yeah." But I'm sure that can happen. That does happen. But no, that's just me. It's just me. And I think, yeah.
No, that's awesome. And then we got Drew Tarwater. He wears the hat because, well, that's why right there if you're watching on video. But I don't think according to Drew, hair is not the sign of wisdom. That's for sure.
That is for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited about this podcast, guys. And I do think, the longer the beard, the more holiness. So Ryan is moving towards prophet level. Matt and I, we're still working, and mine's is getting a little more gray as we go. But I'm excited to be here. I love that idea that we're talking about today of just how do we relate to the people in our churches, right? Like we go by our first name because we're just regular people, on the journey to know Jesus, to find and follow him. And that's really our heart behind this podcast is like, how do we think through culture? How do we think through God's kingdom? How do we think through all of the things that are going on around us? There's so many opinions, but how do we view it through a lens that makes sense? And to see it through what God says is his blueprint for our lives. So this will be a really fun podcast, guys, over the next in the next period of time as we dive into some fun topics.
No, absolutely. What I'm going to ask you guys is what topic you guys are most looking forward to, and I'll start with Dr. Matt, Mr. Matt. Sorry, just Matt. So we'll start with Matt. Matt, what is the topic you are most looking forward to dig into with these guys and pick their brains on?
I haven't thought of like a specific topic that I'm looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to talking about a bunch of the topics. We've thrown around and kicked around a bunch of ideas. Aliens.
Yes.
That was one of them. But
Yeah.
what I think is interesting is like why we call this like what your pastors really think. It's not that we're like hiding stuff from people or lying or not telling the truth, but there's so many topics that like aren't covered explicitly in the Bible. The Bible had nothing to say really about aliens, or does it? You'll have to stay tuned for that one.
I've watched Ancient Aliens, Matt. I disagree.
Yeah, maybe the Nephilim. Okay, we'll get to that later. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But there's just so many things that we want to talk about, share opinions about, and yet if you're going through the scriptures, it doesn't always touch directly on that. I remember years ago. I'm here in Denver now, in the city. I'm the most urban of us, I guess. Right, still on the city proper of Denver, but just kind of on the edge of it. I remember I was a pastor in Nebraska for 5 years before coming here to Denver. And I just one day I was like, hey, I got an open Sunday, no plan. What do you guys want me to talk about? And I put out a poll. People could put on anything they wanted on Facebook. Facebook was the thing at the time.
I know what they said. I know what they said.
What was it?
End times, Revelation.
No, this is the crazy. That's what I thought they were going to pick. I thought end times or some. They picked, this was, I can't remember, in the 2010s somewhere, but they wanted to know about ISIS. Like that was the top topic. And they're like, what is ISIS? What is going on? Is this, Muslims killing Christians? What's going on? So I would spend a whole message talking about ISIS, and it really scratched my head. I was like, that would have been the 100th topic I would have picked.
Yeah.
And yet that was something that they were really curious. What does the Bible say? What does my pastor think about it? So I think that's just one of those things. Like, what does your pastor really think? We got to dive deep into some other, sometimes crazy topics to discuss some of those things.
Right. Ryan, what topics are you looking forward to and bringing up and talking to about with these guys?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same line with Matt. I think we've thrown out so many different ideas, things that are just kind of random that you wouldn't necessarily think hopping on a pastor's podcast. Oh, they're going to be talking about leadership. We talked about keeping it pretty light and even talking about, current cultural things going on. And so we'll keep our finger kind of on the pulse of culture and what's new and what are the big hot button issues. And we'll address those as best we can in real time. And so I think that's something also. How do we, as followers of Jesus, how do we respond to some of these things that are going on? So obviously we just got through a very political season, would have been a great time to jump in on that, but maybe it's best that we didn't. So, but in real time, yeah, we'll take hot button cultural issues, and I think that's what I'm really excited about as well. Yeah.
And Drew, what are you thinking? What are you looking forward to talking to about with these guys?
On Sundays, we don't often have an opportunity to really dive deep into, let's say, like theology and doctrinal topics. We'll cover them, we'll communicate them, but they're so rich. And I think a lot of people, when they think about like doctrine, it's kind of boring. I don't really that's not as exciting. Let's talk more about Sasquatch, right? Let's talk more about aliens. But I think to understand, as Ryan said, to look at the current issues that are going on and read that through a biblical worldview, we have to understand these ideas of doctrine and theology. And so our hope is just to kind of take them in bite-sized chunks and to help relate those with what we're going through in everyday life. And so I think as we do that, we'll gain a better biblical worldview, but we'll also learn how to filter the everyday through what God says is best and is good and is noble.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm looking forward to talking with you guys, not just seeing or hearing what, but like how the lens works. Because I think that's what I'll hear a lot from you guys, which I'm excited to learn about, is because you always tell people, hey, this is what you should believe, but like the why or how you develop the lens to see it. Because you don't always have a pastor in your podcast to go turn on to listen to go, what should I think about this? So that how to develop that lens to see it through a biblical worldview, a godly worldview is so important. That's one reason I'm excited to do this with you guys. So guys, the topics I'm looking forward to coming up though are obviously when we talk about the end times, who doesn't like a good end times conversation? Though you guys also throw around drinking. What should you do about drinking? And then another one is, why are New Year's habits biblical? I don't know. but I'm interested to hear that one. So guys, any final thoughts as we wrap up the intro conversation here? Ryan, we'll start with you.
Nope. I'm excited for this opportunity. Glad to be on here with you guys. Matt and Drew and I are very close, and we get together frequently, and just on the level of friendship. And so to do this and to dive into this from different perspectives, Matt, as he mentioned, he's kind of more urban. Drew is kind of in the suburbs, and I'm the rural mountain man. So I think there's a lot of really unique perspective in there that I'm excited to dig into some topics with you guys. So,
Dr. Matt.
Yeah, I would just say, if you're listening to this, maybe you're, some of us, you're in one of our churches, or even if you stumbled upon this, like, don't be mad at us, because we will share some salty opinions. That was almost the title for this podcast, Salty Opinions. Right. Hopefully bringing the salt of Jesus Christ to this earth. But we're going to have some opinions that you're going to disagree with. And some of the stuff we're going to say that, like, hey, the Bible is very clear, love your enemy, but it's not super clear on what political party, that you have to be a part of, and what your position on proposition X, Y, and Z, but we will share some opinions that will offend you, and it's okay. Just move on, because we all have opinions. I'd be offended by all your opinions if we heard them as well. But we're really hoping that we can, like Drew was saying, like, help you think a little bit more biblically, think a little bit more like, how could we be the salt of the earth? So we will share some salty opinions.
Drew, final thoughts as we wrap up the intro. What do you think? What are you excited for?
Well, one of the things I'm really excited for is for the people of Forefront Church, Arise Church, and Catalyst Church to be able to kind of really look at some of the ideas and concepts that we talk about on Sunday in maybe a bigger way, and to dive in deeper, to really be able to say, hey, here's why my pastor preaches the way he preaches, because these are some of the underlying things that he truly believes, and then let them dive deeper into Scripture to figure out, do they agree, and where they land. Also, though, we also want to provide this resource. This podcast is being sponsored by Converge Rocky Mountain, which all Catalyst, Forefront, and Arise are all part of Converge Church Network. And so we also want to be able to provide a resource for the Converge Rocky Mountain pastors and other CRM churches who say, hey, what about these topics? Let's jump into those. And hopefully along the journey, God gives us more wisdom and insight and discernment. So excited. It's going to be a really fun journey with you guys. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'll start off with upsetting people. For prepping for this podcast, I was listening to Nickelback. I'll admit it. So sorry. That's my salty opinion right there. Listening to Nickelback as we were prepping for this. So guys, thank you so much, Matt.
Final thought. I got one question, Rob.
Yeah.
If people want us to talk about a subject or topic, is there some way that they can let us know, other than sending us a text or something? But if they're listening to this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Put it in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, on Spotify. There should be a way to put in comments, and we'll work as we develop this, maybe, and even create an email and a website where people can go to build up a library. But this is a work in progress, and as it grows, it'll build. And reach out if you have a question. You can shoot it to me here, Rob at Simpler. That's sympler.com, and I'll share the question with the fellas, and we'll see what you guys think. So thank you guys so much. Looking forward to the next episode.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Subscribe.
It reminds me of one of those days.